English Through Great Stories presents Why Intelligent People Prefer Silence. Introduction. Have you ever felt it, that sense of being utterly overwhelmed? The constant ping of notifications from your phone, the unending roar of traffic from the street outside your window, the subtle pressure to always be on, to speak in meetings, to have an opinion on everything, to fill every quiet moment with conversation. In our modern world, noise has become our constant companion. But what if, for some, this endless sound is not a comfort, but a cage? Have you ever paused to wonder why many of the most creative and brilliant minds in history actively sought out silence? Why they chose the company of their own thoughts over the roar of the crowd? This is no coincidence. A deep, powerful connection exists between intelligence, creativity, and the deliberate pursuit of quiet. This is the story of that connection. It is an invitation to explore the serene spaces where great ideas are born, and a guide to discovering your own oasis of silence in a world that never stops talking. Chapter 1. The Brain in a Noisy World. To understand why silence is so valuable, we must first understand what noise does to our minds. Think of your brain as a powerful computer. When you have too many programs open, too many tabs running, what happens? The computer slows down. It becomes inefficient. This is precisely what happens to our brains in a noisy environment. Scientists call this cognitive overload. Our brains have a limited amount of attention and processing power. When we are bombarded with sounds, information, and distractions, our attention becomes divided, and we struggle to focus deeply on any single task. This cognitive load is not just a feeling, it is a measurable state. When our brain's prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for decision-making and focus, is constantly processing noise, it has less capacity for complex thought. Imagine trying to cook a complicated meal for the first time. You need to read the recipe, measure ingredients, and manage timing. Now imagine doing that while the television is blaring, your phone is buzzing, and a child is asking you for help with their homework. The quality of your cooking would inevitably suffer. This is what happens to the quality of our thinking in a noisy world. Our mental energy is a finite resource, and noise is one of the biggest expenses. But something magical happens when we find silence. When the external noise fades, our brain can finally switch to a different mode of operation. Neuroscientists have discovered a fascinating system in our brain they call the default mode network. Think of it as your brain's internal workshop for imagination and reflection. This network becomes most active when we are not focused on an external task. It's the part of your brain that connects old memories, imagines the future, and allows you to understand yourself and others. Silence is the key that unlocks this workshop. It gives the default mode network the space it needs to work. In these quiet moments, our brains can organize information, solve problems that we were stuck on, and generate new, original ideas. Intelligent people, who often deal with complex problems and abstract ideas, instinctively understand this. They are not avoiding the world when they seek silence. They are creating the perfect conditions for their minds to do their most important work. Chapter 2. The Silence of Giants. History is filled with the stories of brilliant minds who understood this power. They were not merely intelligent, They were masters of using silence to unlock their full potential. Consider Sir Isaac Newton. In 1665, as the Great Plague swept through London, Cambridge University closed its doors. Newton was forced to return to his quiet family home, Woolsthorpe Manor. For 18 months, he lived in relative isolation. The bustling, noisy world of the city and university was replaced by a profound silence and solitude. Was this a wasted year? Far from it. It was the most productive period of his entire life. In that tranquil solitude, Newton developed his world-changing theories on calculus, optics, and the laws of motion and universal gravitation. The silence granted him the mental space to observe, to question, and to see connections that no one had ever seen before. He needed that quiet to perceive the universe in a new light. Now let us turn to Albert Einstein. His job as a clerk in a Swiss patent office seemed ordinary, but it gave him a precious gift: long, quiet hours to think. He conducted what he called Gedankenexperimente, thought experiments. He didn't require a bustling laboratory filled with equipment. His laboratory was the quiet sanctuary of his own mind. In that mental silence, he would imagine riding on a beam of light, an idea that led directly to his theory of relativity. These were not idle daydreams. They were focused, rigorous explorations into the nature of the universe. He famously said, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind." Einstein understood that true breakthroughs are not born from external noise, but from internal clarity. The visionary inventor Nikola Tesla worked in a similar way. He possessed an incredible gift for visualization. He could design, build, and test complex inventions entirely in his imagination before touching a single physical tool. This required immense concentration, an ability to shut out the external world and enter the silent workshop of his mind. There, in that profound quiet, he perfected his designs for the alternating current motor, a technology that would power the modern world. For these giants of history, silence was not an empty void. It was their laboratory, their canvas, and their most essential instrument of discovery. Chapter 3. The Art of Deep Work. In our modern era, the ideas of Newton and Einstein have been given a new name. The writer Cal Newport calls it deep work. Deep work is the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. It's a skill that allows you to master complicated information and produce better results in less time. It is in this state of deep work that we create things of high value. The opposite of deep work is shallow work. This includes tasks that are not very demanding and are often performed while distracted. Think about answering emails, scrolling through social media, or attending meetings where you are not truly needed. Our modern work culture often celebrates being busy, which usually means celebrating shallow work. We mistake activity for productivity. An intelligent person recognizes this mistake. They understand that creating a new business strategy, writing a brilliant piece of code, or developing a groundbreaking scientific theory cannot be done in 5-minute intervals between checking emails. It requires long, uninterrupted periods of silence and focus. This is why you often see successful people with very deliberate habits. They might wake up early in the morning, before the rest of the world is awake, to have a few hours of quiet. They might schedule focus blocks in their calendar and treat them as the most important meetings of their day. They might go for long walks in nature, leaving their phones behind. They are not being antisocial, they are being professional. They are protecting their most valuable asset, their ability to think deeply. To practice deep work is to choose silence. It is to say no to the constant stream of distractions, so you can say yes to the difficult, meaningful work that truly matters. In a world that values being connected, the intelligent person understands the competitive advantage of being disconnected. Chapter 4. The sound of emptiness versus the sound of self. If silence is so powerful, why do so many people avoid it? Why do we turn on the television the moment we walk into an empty house? Why do we put in headphones for a short walk to the shop? For many, silence is uncomfortable. It can feel like emptiness. When the external noise stops, the internal noise begins. We are left alone with our thoughts, our worries, our insecurities. The noise of the world is a convenient distraction from ourselves. It allows us to avoid difficult questions. Am I happy with my life? Am I living according to my values? Am I afraid of failing? These are not easy questions to face, and the constant noise of modern life gives us a perfect excuse not to. The intelligent mind, however, understands that avoiding these questions is not a solution. It is a delay. They see silence not as emptiness, but as an opportunity for self-reflection. It is a chance to listen to their inner voice, to understand their own motivations and fears. The French philosopher Blaise Pascal famously wrote, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." This is the challenge that silence presents. Can you be comfortable with yourself, by yourself? For those who can, the rewards are immense. In silence, you can process your emotions. You can solve complex personal problems. You can find a sense of peace and clarity that is impossible to achieve when your mind is constantly distracted. This is why people who value their intelligence also value their time alone. It is not that they dislike people. It is that they understand the importance of also having a relationship with themselves. They choose the sound of self over the sound of emptiness. They choose to confront their inner world, to learn from it, and to grow stronger as a result. Chapter 5. Silence and Emotional Intelligence. The benefits of silence are not only for personal and creative work, they are also crucial for our relationships with others. This is the domain of emotional intelligence. One of the most important skills in emotional intelligence is active listening. Active listening is not simply waiting for your turn to speak. It is the practice of being fully present, concentrating on what is being said, and understanding the meaning and emotion behind the words. And what is the foundation of active listening? Silence. You cannot truly listen to someone if you are busy thinking about your own response. Intelligent people, especially strong leaders, know this. They are often comfortable with pauses in a conversation. They use silence as a tool to encourage the other person to share more. When you ask a question and then remain silent, you create a space for a thoughtful answer. You show that you genuinely care about what the other person has to say. In contrast, people who are insecure in a conversation often rush to fill every moment of silence. They interrupt, they finish other people's sentences, and they dominate the discussion. This is not a sign of intelligence, it is a sign of anxiety. Silence builds empathy. By listening quietly, we begin to understand another person's perspective. We feel what they feel. This ability to connect with others on a deeper level is the hallmark of effective leadership, strong friendships, and healthy relationships. A wise person knows that sometimes the most intelligent thing you can say is nothing at all. In a negotiation, a difficult conversation, or a moment of comforting a friend, silence can be more powerful than any words. It conveys respect, confidence, and compassion. It shows that you are not just hearing the noise of their words, but listening to the music of their soul. Chapter 6. The Restorative Power of Silence. Beyond the benefits for creativity and relationships, silence also has a profound restorative effect on our physical and mental health. Our bodies and minds are not designed for the constant stimulation of the modern world. Noise, especially loud and unpredictable noise, triggers a stress response in our bodies. It increases the level of the stress hormone, cortisol. Over time, high levels of cortisol can lead to a range of health problems. Silence has the opposite effect. Studies have shown that just 2 minutes of silence can be more relaxing than listening to relaxing music. It lowers blood pressure and heart rate, and it allows our nervous system to calm down. It is like a reset button for our bodies. Silence is also essential for our memory. The brain uses quiet moments to process and consolidate memories. This is why a good night's sleep is so important for learning. But even short periods of quiet during the day can help. Taking a quiet break after learning something new can significantly improve your ability to remember it later. Perhaps most remarkably, research has found that silence can help our brains grow. A 2013 study on mice found that 2 hours of silence per day led to the development of new cells in the hippocampus, a brain region central to memory, emotion, and learning. While more research is needed, this suggests that silence is not just a passive state, but an active process of restoration and growth for the brain. An intelligent person understands that mental and physical energy are finite resources. They must be managed wisely. Just as we need sleep to restore our bodies, we need silence to restore our minds. It is not an indulgence. It is a necessity for long-term high performance and well-being. Chapter 7. How to find your silence. Understanding the benefits of silence is one thing. Finding it is another. In our noisy world, creating space for quiet requires a conscious effort, but it is not as difficult as it might seem. Here are some practical ways to bring more silence into your life. First, practice the art of the silence walk. Go for a walk in a park or in nature and leave your phone and headphones behind. At first, your mind might feel busy and restless. That is normal. But after a few minutes, you will begin to notice the world around you in a new way. The sound of the wind, the feeling of the sun, the details of a leaf. This simple practice trains your brain to be comfortable in quiet. Second, schedule a digital detox. Choose a period of time. It could be 1 hour every evening or 1 day every weekend, and turn off all your devices. No phone, no computer, no television. Inform your family and friends so they don't worry. Use this time to read a book, write in a journal, or simply sit and think. This creates a boundary between you and the world of constant information. Third, try a simple meditation practice. You don't need to be a spiritual master. Just find a quiet place to sit for 5 or 10 minutes. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. Your mind will wander. The goal is not to have an empty mind, but to gently bring your attention back to your breath whenever you get distracted. This is a powerful exercise in mental focus and self-awareness. Finally, embrace small moments of silence throughout your day. Instead of turning on the radio the moment you get in your car, drive in silence for a few minutes. Instead of looking at your phone while waiting in line, just stand and observe. These small moments add up, creating pockets of peace in a busy day. Finding silence is not about escaping the world. It is about creating the conditions to engage with the world more thoughtfully and effectively. Conclusion. We began this journey by feeling the overwhelming noise of the modern world. We have traveled through the science of the brain, the history of genius, and the principles of deep work and emotional intelligence. We have seen that the preference for silence among intelligent people is not a strange habit. It is a strategic choice. It is a deep understanding that in a world of endless noise, clarity is a superpower. Silence is not empty. It is full. It is full of ideas waiting to be discovered. It is full of emotions waiting to be understood. It is full of the quiet strength needed to navigate a complex world. To embrace silence is to give yourself a profound gift. It is the gift of focus, of creativity, of self-awareness, and of peace. It is the space where you can finally hear the most important voice you will ever know, your own. So, the next time you have a choice, perhaps you will choose to turn down the volume of the world for a moment and listen. Listen to the silence and discover what it has to tell you.